Instagram, I need you to share live with 10 of your friends. If you're on YouTube, I need you to like that video. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. Well, we're going to talk about a lot of things tonight. We're going to talk about surviving the crucible. We're going to talk about something big that happened. Coinbase actually sued the SEC, which is like the tables turn on the SEC. Then we're going to talk about NVIDIA because we called out NVIDIA at 140. It's almost at 300 now. So we're up 100. We're going to be up 100 and something % probably this week. Then we're going to talk about a forgotten AI stock that a lot of people don't even think about when they think about AI stocks. Then we're going to talk about luxury and gold. Then we're going to talk about Meta could be leading the AI race. Then we're going to talk about 2 hot stocks for the long run. Now, before we started, we talked about 2 penny stocks last week. And somebody said in the chat before we started talking that, oh, man, those penny stocks didn't work out. Penny stocks are long term. Penny stocks don't have enough volume to move in a week. It's going to take a couple of months for those 2 plays to play out. So sometime, like I said, we can call out a stock and it happens the next week and we get lucky. Sometimes it takes a couple of months, sometimes it takes a couple of weeks. If I'm sure of a stock going up in the next week or 2, maybe because of earnings or maybe because of some other event, I will say it. I will say, look, man, I think it's going to go up. Now, I can't give you financial advice, but I can tell you what I'm thinking and what I'm buying, and that's what I do. So if I think something's going up next week and I do an option play on it, or we do an option play in the CNC, it's because we think it's going up the next day. Here's going Rick Joannison. So I want to talk about some. Now, somebody in the mentorship. I do have my mentorship program is back open. DM me if you're interested. So somebody in the mentorship was talking about her today, talking about how she was very conflicted because she's right on the verge of success. She felt like her life's work was finally coming to fruition. She felt like everything she worked for up until this point was finally going to pay off. And right before her big break, all these problems came out of nowhere. Lost her phone. Then she couldn't get any money to travel to the place she needed to. Then her parents came down on her. Then her car broke down. And then something else happened and she lost her book bag all within a pattern of 3 weeks. She was so depressed and so beat down she wanted to give up. She thought that it was over. She thought that maybe she wasn't supposed to go down that path. But I've been down that path before. And I'm going to tell you, I do believe in good versus evil. I do believe in the angels in heaven and the devils down below and the devil's workers down below. I believe they do have, in a way, some type of control over our lives. Not control, but some kind of influence, I should say. Now, when you're on the path of greatness, or on the path to do something good, on the path to do what you want, to fulfill your destiny, those devils and those workers and that evil in the world will do whatever it takes to stop you. They will throw everything but the kitchen sink at you. They'll stop you. Your car break down or whatever. Whenever those things happen, it's because you're on the verge of a big breakthrough. Something big is about to happen. That's the reason why all that's happening. You're confused. Why does everything I do turn to dirt? Like I said, I've been through that before. I had a software company, 2009. First 3 years, I made incredible money. By the 4th year, I was losing $10,000 a week. But within a year, I was down $180,000, and I had to give up the company, right? So it was one of the lowest points of my life. I had to take a software, one of the best jobs I ever ended up having in my life at AAA. And when I walked into that office, the one reason I got the job is because in the interview, I was slumped down in the chair and I didn't really care. And I believe that's what got me the best corporate job I've ever had in my life. I really did not care if I got the job or not. I was so depressed because I just missed out on the third Google interview that I had. And Google rejected me after the 3rd interview. So after the 3rd interview, I didn't really want to work. I wanted to work at Google. I didn't work at AAA. So I was slumped in the chair. I didn't care. I was just answering the dude's question. I was completely relaxed because I didn't care. Ended up getting a job, more money from a corporation I've ever gotten in my life with a crazy benefit package. And at night, I took a teaching job to pay off that $180,000 debt. Paid it all off. And about 6 months later, became a multimillionaire because I sold a company that I worked on. Remember, the second time, my second company, I had a partner and a business partner. And I also, it only took me 6 months to get to that multi-million-dollar thing. It took 5 years in the first company to fail. It took 6 months in the second company to become a multi-millionaire. And people say, what happened? How did you do it so fast? How did you skip all those corners that normally it would take 5 years? Because we all know it takes 5 years to build a business. Because the first time I was forged by the crucible. So the second time was a lot easier. What I mean by the crucible is that when you create gold or any other precious metal, which we're going to talk about later, you have to put it into a crucible. That's how they did it back in the day. And the reason why they put it in the crucible, because that hot fire, that flame, that incredible heat burns out all the impurities in the precious metal. It takes a little time. It takes a little work. It takes a lot of heat and pressure. But when that gold and that precious metal comes out of that crucible, it's pure, it's strong, and it's resilient. And that's what happens in life, is that you have to be put through the crucible. Everybody has to go through that crucible. The only way you're not going to go through it if you got rich parents or some kind of end, and then you don't end up with a strong character, so you end up losing the money anyway. So anytime you're going on a path of greatness, you got to be put through the crucible. You got to be put through that fire, or you will never, ever get to your great point in your life. And that's what I told that young lady. I said, you got to get through the crucible. If you give up, that's what all those evil forces want you to do. They want you to give up. God in the Bible, I don't talk about the Bible much, but Job was a figure in the Bible. Job was a person who was very faithful to God. And God and devil and God argued about Job. God was proud of Job being so faithful to God, right? The devil said the only reason why he's faithful is because you have your protective hand around Job. And God and the devil said, look, man, if you remove your protected hand, he will curse you. Job will curse you as soon as you move that protective hand around him. Then God moved his protective hand. Job went through 7 years of trial and tribulations. And he still refused to talk bad about his maker. He got through the crucible and was rewarded big time because he got through to the other side. Now, that's what I want to talk about today. And then I want to move on to this other stuff, right? We want to talk about Coinbase suing the SEC. We want to talk about NVIDIA, forgotten AI stock, luxury, and gold. And then we're going to talk a little bit about these two hot stocks, metaverse, two hot stocks that we're going to, that I think it can do well over the next couple of months. Now, SEC in a change, right? Because the SEC has been going after a lot of crypto companies, a lot of things like that. They went after Kim Kardashian, what's his name? Plays for the Buccaneers. Tom Brady. They went after a bunch of people for falsely promoting securities, which are really NFTs or whatever, but they actually were securities because they promoted them as an investment. So the SEC has been going after a lot of people. So the Coinbase very smartly, preemptively sued the SEC. Because the SEC, Coinbase received what's called a Wells notice. A Wells notice means that the SEC is going to come after you, right? It's a notice that they're investigating you. So Coinbase preempted them and they sued the they sued the SEC. And what they asked for was clear guidance on exactly what they're doing wrong. Because that's the thing about the SEC, going after XRP, going after all these crypto companies, going after Coinbase, is the SEC has never given clear regulations on crypto. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows what's right and wrong. And this is a very bad problem with the SEC. They don't want to be clear because they want to have the flexibility to go after whoever they want. Because once you narrow it down and you put down a list of rules and regulations, now people can say, look, I followed the rules and regulations. So the SEC don't want to do that. They want complete. The SEC is one of the most powerful organizations in the world. They can go after anybody, anywhere in the world, regardless. As long as you're a U.S. citizen, they can go after you, regardless of where you're operating in the world. And if you are operating in the world in another country that has a relationship with the United States, If you touch any U.S. dollars, they can go after you like that. Or if you take investor money from any U.S. citizen, they can still go after you. That's almost every investment in the world. So I'm glad that Coinbase did that. I'm glad that they preempted them, because I said I don't think Coinbase is doing anything wrong. I think that stock took a little hit because of this, but I think in the long term, Coinbase stock is going to be very, very valuable. And I'm saying in the next Bitcoin halving is April of 2024. And I think that we're going to see a huge rise in Coinbase stock in that year. So I want to talk a little bit about NVIDIA. And we're going to talk about a forgotten AI stock, luxury and gold, metaverse. And we're going to talk about two hot stocks. Now, before we continue, we're killing it in the CNC. Last week, we made 400% one day, and I believe 300% the second day. Like I said, people made 10, 20, 30s. I think somebody made like $100,000 on those plays in the CNC. The CNC is our trading group in which we give out signals. We give free classes. We have a community. We're going to have 2 conferences coming up this year. So it's a lot of value in that community. Like I said, you can go to jointhecnc.com, or you can click the link in my bio on Instagram. Now, that's another thing. The IRS is having guns. I'm going to put a post up about that later, but I don't want to get into that now. So, like I said, is that if you want to join the CNC, it's $67 a month. You got 2 days before the price goes up to $99.97. And I have to pull the price up because next month we're starting coding and technology and AI classes. So it's a lot more content, a lot more things. People are making a lot more money. And I always give a challenge. I say, if in 3 months, in the first month, you don't make at least 3 times that $67, I'll refund you all the money you ever paid. And I've only had that request 3 times in the last year. 3 times in the last year, because almost everybody has profited in the CNC. And if you're in the CNC, if you're on YouTube or you're on Instagram, I need you to drop those money bags if everything I was saying is correct. So I want to talk a little bit about NVIDIA to 350. We start talking about NVIDIA when it was at 140 in January. We talked about how NVIDIA was fueling the AI race. We talked about how NVIDIA was one of those what we call pick and shovel strategies, in which sometimes we see a trend forming, and I actually talk about that in my book too. So you should get that book on Amazon, pre-order, but The Strategic Millionaire. But whenever a trend is forming in any economic market, right? So what we do is that we can be very early to the trend, and we can invest it directly into the companies. Then once that trend is forming, once you're about 20, 30% through the trend, you can't invest in the companies no more because most of the gains have already been made, but you have to switch your strategy. You have to invest in the companies that are providing the trend, that are supplying the trend. That's what we call getting on the supply side of a trend. You got the demand side and the supply side. You get on the supply side, in the second phase of the adoption cycle, you can also make a lot of money. In the 1849 gold rush, the first wave of people made all the money through the gold. The second wave of people made the money from selling the people who came trying to duplicate the first people, picks and shovels. They made more money than the first wave of people that was actually looking for gold. So it's the same strategy. We did it with NVIDIA. We made about 98%. And people are saying, is NVIDIA going to keep going up? It's going to continue to go up. I'm very certain of that. Now, I can't tell you what to buy and sell, of course. But personal opinion, it's going to keep going up. I got a personal target of $350. Right now, I think it's trading at $277. I believe. So we still got another 40%, 30% rise in NVIDIA coming up because this AI trend isn't over, right? It's not over. It's just beginning still. But we're past the beginning phase. We're into like the second phase now. So in NVIDIA, like I said, is a pick and shovel strategy. So we've got a lot more time on this. It's going to 350. I say in the next 3 months, maybe 6 months. And I believe that the AI trend is not priced in. That's why I believe it can continue to go to 350, right? So, and there's some companies actually, I think most major analysts also agree, right? And anytime you get a convergence of almost every analyst saying something's going to happen, it probably is going to happen. So I think it's a pretty much certainty that NVIDIA is going to 350. Now, it may reach 340. It may reach 360. I don't want somebody to hold me to 350. It may be 359.49 and drop down. Somewhere around 350 is going to reach. Then it's going to be a 30% retraction, like with Tesla, which we're going to talk about later. So I'm saying I think NVIDIA is still a massive market opportunity, right? And there's another stock out there. And we also said, we talked about the second one was going to be AMD. AMD ended up going up. There's a third processing company out there that is benefiting also on the AI movement. And that stock is Intel. Intel has not went up yet. And Intel is one of those pick and shovel strategy that are supplying the AI trend, right? And Intel, if we know, is one of the biggest processing companies in the world, right? So they provided most of the processing chips to Microsoft based PCs in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And they're still one of the leaders in the semiconductor industry, all right? So right now, last year, like most tech stocks, Intel took a 49% drop last year, but now it's up 18% so far this year. So we're still very early. Like I said, a lot of times what you can do is that one stock will do extremely well based on a trend like NVIDIA. And then there's echoes, right? It's because if that stock does good, investors start looking at stocks that are similar. They understand that pick and shovel strategy. They understand that NVIDIA is supplying that trend of artificial intelligence. So investors start looking for similar stocks. And there's only like 3 or 4 in the world. AMD was second, and Intel is going to be third. So I'm expecting 20, 30, maybe 50% return on Intel over the next year. So somebody says I'm looking at Boston Dynamics. Boston Dynamics stock doesn't trade, but it trades under, I think, Hyundai. Or is it Hyundai? I believe it does trade under Hyundai. So I want to talk about luxury and gold, right? For those of you who don't know, I'm going to InvestFest. One of my plans of InvestFest is that I want people to be exposed to trading in gold and also investing in gold. So my plan, I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to do it if everything works out. My plan is to give out 200 grams of gold at InvestFest. So anybody comes up to the booth, the first 200, I'm going to give away a gram of gold, which is worth like $60 to the first 200 people that show up at my booth. So that's probably what I do because it's free, no charge. Just walk up, give me your email address, and give me a text, and you'll get a free gram of gold. I don't know what it's going to be by then. Maybe it's $80 by then. So I don't know. But I'm going to do that not because I'm trying to gain nothing, because I'm doing it because I want people to understand what investment grade gold looks like. And also what investing in gold can do for you in terms of security, in terms of hedging against risk, and in terms of protecting yourself against a falling U.S. dollar. So InvestFest is in Atlanta, August 28th. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give out free gold to everybody because I want my booth's like right in the middle. So I'm going to give out free gold to anybody. Comes up, first 200 people come to my booth, ask for the gold. I'm going to go in the back and hand them a gram of gold, which is, it's like $60. I think that's how much a gram of gold costs. So that's what I'm talking about. So it's because, like I said, I want people to be exposed to gold. Gold is an extremely safe investment because I'm a person, and I know some people don't believe in me. Some people don't. It's a physical piece of gold, a gram bar. That's what it's going to be, a bar, a gram, a little bar of gold. It's going to have my logo stamped on it, 24 karat gold. So, yeah, I think it's worth like maybe $80, $90, whatever it's worth. I'm giving out 200 of them. So back to what I'm saying. So like I said, is that I'm a person who believes. And like I said before, if you guys have been following my page, I do have food. I got like 6-7 months, maybe a year worth of food in case there's a massive calamity that happens, right? Man, people are going to get robbed over a gram of gold. I mean, they was going to get robbed for something else. Somebody said that people are going to get robbed if they get the gold. If you're getting robbed over a gram of gold, it's only $80, $90. Your phone's worth more than that. So they may rob the booth, but I'm going to be inside. So I'm going to have security with me. So they got to go through the security. I always got security with me. So back to what I was saying is that I'm a person who believes in protecting yourself against calamities. And we all know from the pandemic that society is hanging by a thread. They talk about, it's a saying out there. I don't know who said it, but it's a saying that says that the United States is 3 meals away from a complete collapse. And what that means is that if everybody can't get 3 meals, the whole country can't get 3 meals, everybody's going to go crazy and the whole society is going to collapse. Now, I'm a person that believes in that. I believe in protecting yourself again because the cost to protect yourself is very cheap. I can get 6 months of food in there for like $200, $300, right? And then if something happens, I got 6, 8 months worth of food. Now, it's not going to taste too good because it lasts for 20 years. It's not going to be organic because it's preserved food, but it will keep you alive for those 6 to 8 months, right? And we're not going to be worried about organic food and no GMOs if the world's falling down. You're not a survivor if you care that much and you just let yourself die because it's not organic. Now, the food's not going to be very tasty. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to get you through whatever calamity it is. So gold is a part of that plan because if the dollar falls, and if sometimes falls happen within a week, sometimes they happen within years, or if something else happens, you'll always be able to trade gold for whatever you need. So that's the reason why I believe in gold. And I also believe in gold mining stocks because we're heading into a deeper recession than they're telling you. Now, in deep recessions, gold mining stocks do extraordinarily well as opposed to the rest of the market. So I believe in that. I believe in having physical gold, but I also believe in investing in gold ETFs and gold mining stocks during the next year and a half as we try to get through this recession. Yeah, salt is also something that would last salt's hard to get. And people die without salt. Most people don't know that. If you don't have salt, you will die. So another thing I want to talk about is luxury goods, right? Because there's something happening in the world right now with luxury goods. And I want to talk about the goods and I want to talk about investing in the companies. For the first time in history, buying a luxury good like a Louis Vuitton bag, Rolex watch, or something else is actually beneficial. And I'm not talking about beneficial because it looks good. I'm talking about beneficial because it's appreciating in value. So you buy a Rolex watch for $18,000 in 2 years, it's worth $23,000. You buy a Louis Vuitton bag today, in 2 years, it'll be the same price if you sell it in the aftermarket that you bought it for today. So what's happening in this is there's a secondhand market that didn't exist before online, that didn't exist before. People are able to verify these goods and make sure that they're legit. So now the bags are holding value because there's a demand for it that's generated by these secondhand markets. So actually a Rolex watch costs more than if you just bought it from the store in the secondhand. It's more expensive on the secondhand because you have to wait a year, 2 years to get a Rolex watch from the Rolex dealer. So that's a good way. Like I believe in buying some luxury because I don't believe in spending all your money. And you got to be able to pick the right ones. You can't just go around spending all your money on Louis Vuitton shirts because they go down nothing real fast. But some of the bags, some of the watches will hold its value. So like I said, is that and people always say something like people always say, well, I don't believe in that or whatever. I'm going by numbers. If I go to Walmart and I buy a blinged out watch that they have behind the counter for $80, that watch is worth $5 after I buy it. It's worthless. Lost 95% of its value. So, and then somebody that's willing to put more money into it buys a $10,000 Rolex. That watch is worth $12,000 in a year. Person A is down $50 in their net worth the first year. Person B is up $2,000. Now, who's winning in that scenario? Now, I'm not saying go out and buy Rolex watches, but I'm saying you have to be able to see these opportunities and see things rationally for what's happening. The world changes quickly. It doesn't stay the same. 10 years ago, it was stupid to buy luxury goods. Now we fast forward to 2023, it's no longer stupid. And one of the reasons why it's no longer stupid is because of the pandemic. Before the pandemic, some things did go up in value, but no, it wasn't like it is now, to where it's almost a guaranteed that you're going to gain value in your luxury goods. So what's happened is a lot of psychologists, a lot of analysts have analyzed this situation. And the reason why luxury bags are going up, the reason why luxury goods are going up, the reason why luxury companies, one of the most valuable companies, Louis Vuitton, Moet, it's Louis Vuitton, Hennessy, it's Moet, it's MHLV. That's the name of the company. It's Moet, Hennessy, Louis Vuitton. Now, this one of the biggest companies. It's just as big as Tesla. This is the first time ever in history that a luxury good company is getting this big. Now, the reason why Louis Vuitton has grown so much in the last 3 years is because of one thing. It's the YOLO mentality that rose out of the pandemic. In the pandemic, we were very scared that we were all going to die, that society was falling, that things would never be the same again. So there's always a reaction to something that big happening. And what happened is that people just start saying YOLO, you only live once. They start taking more vacations. They start spending more on luxury goods that they always wanted. They start spending more on cars. They spent more on houses. That's why all these things are going up. Because people were faced with death. I don't care if you believe it. Some people say, well, the pandemic wasn't real or not. I don't care. I don't care if you believed in it or not. It did go through your mind at the beginning that this would all be over. And that triggers something in your brain. Now you're going to YOLO it. So it's caused one of the biggest influxes of capital into luxury good companies like MHLV, which is one of the biggest companies in the world. So one of the other things is that luxury goods have a ridiculously high markup, ridiculously high, 70% on average. An average company has a 20% markup. Walmart has less than that, I think 18, 17%. But most companies have 20% markup. Retail goods luxury goods have a 70% markup. And that says that long as the demand doesn't fall, which I doubted for years, there's a great opportunity to not only invest in luxury goods, but also invest in the companies that produce these goods. And one of the biggest ones, like I said, is LVMH. That's Louis Vuitton, Moet, Hennessy. They also own Tiffany, Christian Dior. They own Fendi. It's a conglomerate that owns like 40, I think it's like 60 luxury brands. Louis Vuitton family owns all of these brands, right? Like I said, their market cap is $500 billion, which is the same as Tesla, right? So there's also an index fund out there. So you say, look, man, I don't know what luxury stocks to buy. I don't understand which ones. I don't get which ones I'm supposed to buy. Well, there's an index fund out there called S&P Global Luxury Index. It's up this year, I think, like 18%. And what it does is that index has 80 of the largest luxury good producers in the world and the publicly traded companies. And it's like a bucket, right? So that means if I don't know which stocks to buy, I can buy a piece of this bucket. And if luxury goods as a concept or an industry or a sector rises up, then that particular index fund is going to rise with it. It provides more security because if you just pick one luxury good, it could fall. But if I pick all of them, if I understand that the concept of luxury goods is going to go up, then that index fund may be a good choice for you. S&P Global Luxury Index. So I want to talk about something else. So I'm saying if you want to join the CNC, make sure you get in there tonight because May 1st or 2nd, the price is going up to $99. If you get in tonight, it'll be $66 locked in forever. I still got some people that pay $15.99 and were locked in from when I first started. Like I said, if you're on YouTube, if you ever subscribe to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. I got 700 people on YouTube right now, but only 176 people like the video. So I need all 700 of y'all to like my video on YouTube. I only got 106. That's kind of a shame, man. 178 likes, but 700 people in the room. I'm giving all this powerful information, and they can't even press that like button. So if you're on Instagram, I need you guys to share the live with 10 of your friends. Put the word share in the comments. I had like 1,000 in here last week. I don't know what happened. Maybe the title. I should have put another scary title. Then we got 287. We got 305. Let me see. We got 700 people in there, though. We only got three. Yeah, it's going up, though. How's it going, Alocos? So I want to talk about Meta, right? And like people that know me, for years, I didn't really like Mark Zuckerberg. Now, who am I not to like him? He's a billionaire, but I can still choose who I don't like, I know he's way above me and he's a billionaire, but you can still choose who you don't like. And I don't like him. I didn't like him, right? Because I always felt like, and this is the reason I didn't like him, because I think he got lucky with Facebook. Now, Mark Zuckerberg is an extremely intelligent man, but sometimes extremely intelligent people get purely lucky too. They hit the jackpot. They go into the casino and hit black too. And that's what I think happened to him, right? And ever since then, he just kind of copied. He copied Instagram stories from Snapchat. He copied live, like we're on live right now from I think it was Periscope. He copied Reels from TikTok. I mean, everything the dude does has been a copy of somebody else. And he's done that for like 15, 20 years. Facebook news feed was stolen from MySpace. Everything, every feature, every new thing has been stolen from, honestly, your main point taking a little long. Okay, my main point is blocked forever. All right, let's move on. So, like I said, Mark Zuckerberg, like I said, is that I didn't really like him that much. But now that he's involved in Meta, he's involved in the metaverse, I start liking him a little bit more. A lot of people say it was a failure, right? That he put all this money into the metaverse and nothing came of it. Now, you got to remember, he only did it for a year or two. We're very early on this trend. I believe one day those billions and billions of dollars are going to pay off. And like we talked about 2 weeks ago, we talked about Meta was going to rise up. The stock price was going to rise. It went up a lot. I think it's up 20, 30% since then. A lot of people made a lot of money. And because of Meta, right? Meta, because of their earnings and all this stuff, Meta actually rose a lot over the last 2 weeks. We talked about it about 2 weeks ago. So one thing I think could be forming for Meta, which could make it a massive company, is two things. It was an announcement last week that said that that Metaverse is taking a different perspective on artificial intelligence. Now, Microsoft invested $10 billion in OpenAI, but OpenAI is a closed source company. And what that means is that their source code is not given out to anybody. Now, you can access their technology, but you don't know how it functions. So a week ago, Mark Zuckerberg announced that he's going to allow Meta's AI engine to be open source, which means that people can contribute to the code, which means that anybody can see what's happening. It's open. Anybody can add additions to it. Anybody can take that code and change it to whatever they want. And I believe this is going to put him at the front of all the AI companies and given enough time. Because right now, most people, when they think of AI, they think about Google, they think about Microsoft, they even think about Tesla, but nobody ever thinks about Facebook. Even though Facebook owns the Meta Quest, which is the VR headset, and that's what's powering their metaverse concept. Now, what most people don't understand about AI is that it's not just a computer spitting out text to you like ChatGPT. It's actually a lot deeper than that. Computer vision is part of AI, facial recognition when you open your phone, credit scores. A lot of credit score decisions are done by AI. AI has been with us for years. We just didn't recognize it. Now, because it's talking to us through ChatGPT, we're starting to recognize now. But the artificial intelligence, if you watch the movie, there's a movie out there called Mo Money. The Wayans brothers in it. And if you watch that movie, that's one of my favorite movies, by the way, when I was growing up, and it still is today. If you watch that movie, when they're first, at the beginning of the movie, they're talking about credit scores. Because the dude in that movie, he figures out a way to steal credit cards. So they're talking about credit scores, and the dude actually mentions in the movie that was made in 1991, they use artificial intelligence to make decisions on credit. It's been around for years. So, like I said, is that Artificial intelligence has been around, been making our lives. So the Meta Quest that you put on your face actually has computer vision to know where you are in the room. That's why it can tell you, it can move, when you move your head, it kind of changes the image so that it can tell where you are. So you can look around you. Because what it does is got 4 cameras on the outside to look out, and it figures out where you are in the room, and it can change your what you see in your thing based on it. That's artificial intelligence. That's actually harder to do than generate text. And Meta already has that technology. And I believe that one day they're going to marry AI and the metaverse together. And when they do that, I believe that Meta's stock is going to go through the roof. Now, this is a long-term play. I think that Meta's still going to go up 20, 30% this year, maybe even more. But I'm talking about 10, 15 time return. And that's like 5 years, right? So I'm starting to buy Meta. I've been buying it for months now, but I'm going to start buying some more over the next couple of weeks. Somebody said, we're just getting access to what the rich people. That's a good point, because I want to talk about something before we move on to our last thing, is the 2 hot stocks that I want to talk about. Somebody made a good point. They said, we're just getting access to what the rich people always had access to. So there's a thing called information flow in society. And what information flow means is that it takes time. That's why it's important to go to conferences. That's why I go to conferences constantly. People say, why you go to, even if I don't speak, I'm in there walking around. Why? It's because of information flow. And I would say out of my net worth, 2 or 3 million was made off just knowing information or being ahead of a trend than everybody else was, So what information flow is that when something new comes out or is a big opportunity to make a lot of money, the first people to hear about that are the banks, the rich, and the elite. They're the first people. Normally the banks hear about it first. So the banks, this is how the information flows down into the poor people. The banks get on the phone and they'll do it. They do it all the time. And some people, if you have a private client account or you have a certain amount, they will call you and tell you about the investments first. When the PP loans hit, remember when the PP loans came out, the banks called their richest people first. It took weeks before average people got those PPP loan applications. When the PPP, it's hard to say, PPP loans dropped, the rich, the elite, the wealthy people got those forms first. And there was only so much money. If you remember what happened, there was only so much money to give. And I don't know if you guys remember this story. When the PP loans first came out, the rich people got all the money. They took it all the money they had allotted. Then Trump came out with a second allotment because the rich people took up the first allotment, because the banks called their wealthy clients first. Because think about it from a bank's perspective. I got this PPP application. I only got so many. I only got so much money I can give out because the government sent me the money. Who am I going to give it to? Somebody got $50 in their account or somebody who has 20 million? I'm going to make sure that 20 million dude get it first so I can keep him as a customer and keep him happy. So information flows down to society, rich people. Then the rich people go to their country clubs, tell all their other rich friends. And then the rich friends may have an accountant or a lawyer or something, and the professional class hears about it third. And in the professional class, most people hang around people that are like them. So maybe, one of his boys from college or high school, maybe then he'll tell his college friend. Then the college friend calls his boy. And then by the time it gets all the way down to the poor people, years have went by, maybe months or maybe even years, and the information is outdated. Or it's at the end of the trend in which you're going to get burned the hardest. Remember the 4 phases of the market cycle? You at the end, now you're going to get burned. And that's what information flow is. And it's important to be at the top of that information flow as opposed to being at the bottom. And people say, how do I do that? Build circles of winners, go to conferences, get around the right people, and just listen. Sometimes you can go to 10 conferences, 10 meetups, 10 things. You may hear one thing in a year that changes your life. That's why it's important to go to those things. So I want to talk about these 2 hot stocks. I'm going to let you guys go for the night. Like Bitcoin, like all these trends that came out, the rich people got the information way before you did. And I'm not even, by the time I talk about it, we're still early in the trend, but the rich and the elite and the banks get it first. I get it second. You see what I'm saying? My banks and stuff call me, but I'm the second person to get it. The rich that leading the banks already got their stakes in. I'm the second wave to get it, not the first. I'm the second. So I want to talk about these two stocks. Like I said, we talked a little bit about Tesla. Tesla being an artificial intelligence company. Tesla's at about 177, went to 210 about a month ago. It retracted 30%. I still think that Tesla, I think it got to 220, 218. I think Tesla's going back to 250 over the next 3 months. And that's the stock that I'm saying that I think is going to be hot. I think that most people don't realize Tesla is not only an artificial intelligence company. It's a battery storage company, which means that they're constantly working on battery storage and improving that process. And I think I'm very bullish on Tesla over the next few years. And like I think Kathy Wood said, it could be it can go up 10 times in the next 5 years. And I think that could happen. So Tesla's one of my long-term plays. And the last stock is I think could do well over the next, say, 3 months, just to be safe. Because I'll have somebody at the beginning of the live was telling me about those penny stocks we called out last week. And I was like, you haven't given it time. It's 1 week, you know. So I'm going to go ahead and put my timelines a lot farther. So there's a company out there, and I'm not going to say the stock name to the end, and it's out there using artificial intelligence to teach people how to speak languages, right? In 2022, like I said, like most tech stocks, it took a 35% drop. And right now, just this year, it's up 91% because of this AI trend. And the reason why I think that this stock could do a lot better over the next year is because right now it's an AI engine or a software platform that teaches people about languages, Spanish, English, Italian, whatever the language is, uses AI to like figure out what's the best way for you to possibly learn and feed you that information in a way that you can understand. So the reason why I think this company could do extremely well over the next 3 months, even the next year, is because they have plans to expand this very powerful AI engine they have to more than just language learning. They want to expand it to math. They want to expand it to history. They want to expand it to English, every type of subject in the schools, and they want to actually market this to schools, public schools. And I'm a big believer in using artificial intelligence to teach kids because I don't know if you saw a post I put up. China's already doing it. China's already has artificial intelligence integrated into some of their schools. And I think if the U.S. doesn't, I don't know if you guys realize this, but I'm going to tell you the name of the stock. I know y'all want to hear the name of the stock. I know y'all want to hear the name of the stock, but I was a teacher. I used to be an instructor, a college instructor. But back to what I was saying is I'm a big believer in using technology to power classrooms. And I think that one day that's going to be a huge improvement. Now, if we look at our school system, right? Our school system is based on an agricultural society. That's why we had the summers off. The summers are off in school so the children can go back to the farm and reap the harvest. That's what it's about, right? That's why I don't believe in summers off. I believe that it should be year-round school because summers off a lot of countries don't do that. Summers off create a gap in which you got to relearn what you learned. So I don't really believe in that. I think we should go to year-round schools. We had the same time off, but it should be spread out across the year. And I also believe in using artificial intelligence to uniquely and identify each student's needs and teach them individually. Because some students like me, I wasn't a student that could sit there and learn like that in a structured environment. But, I wasn't a student like that. I had to be hands-on. I had to learn stuff a different way, but the school system didn't teach me that way. So I was always a divergent student that the teachers didn't like because, they want to put you in these neat little roles or whatever. And I think AI could be especially with ADHD people, and neurodivergent people, I think that there could be a great potential to teach a lot more kids a lot more efficiently. But this stock name is Duolingo. Right now it's 136. I can see it going to 200 in over this year. It's Duolingo. 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 Man, as always, haters, man. The thing about haters is that you don't know you made it unless you got haters. So I appreciate y'all too. Like I said, you can't hate nothing that don't affect you. Whoever my hater is, I don't even know that dude exists. So you hate me, but I don't even know you exist. I don't think about you at all. Somebody says they were talking about Duolingo 3 hours at work. Yeah, it's a great company. It's a great learning platform. So I think that it's going to do extremely well over the next few years. So like I said, I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to ask any questions. We got 4 minutes. I'm going to let you guys go for the night. You can't hate. Yeah, like I said, you only can hate from the bottom. You can't hate from the top. I appreciate you, CHBY. Like if you haven't already done so, before you leave on YouTube, like the content and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done it. If you're on Instagram, go on my story, click on my YouTube, and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate that if you guys would do that. Let me put it in no, I don't think I could do that, but in my story, there's a link. If you go through my story and you can click on it and you can subscribe to my channel. It's Tall Guy Tycoon like everywhere else. I appreciate you, Tanya. Any news on New York Stock Exchange event? All right, so Kevin asked a good question. Any news on the stock exchange event? So the stock exchange won't let me, they closed it down for construction. So we can't rent the stock exchange floor. But I do have another one. So there's another studio in Brooklyn that's a 3D immersive studio, right? So that means that the presentation will be on all 4 walls. And it's, so I'm going to actually choose that one. I'm going to do something in New York, more than likely at the end of May or 1st of June, early first week in June. And it's going to be an immersive event in which we're going to teach AI blockchain. And we're also going to teach some stock people. I'm going to try to get Mark to come. I'm going to try to get some other people. So we're going to have 4 or 5 people. I'm trying to get Kezia Williams to come because she talks about AI too. So hopefully her schedule will allow. So I'm going to have a bunch of heavy hitters. We're all going to talk AI. We're all going to talk emerging technology and the future of money in New York either late this month, early next month. I'm still in the negotiations for the studio. So we'll let you guys know. How do you feel about a crash coming in the stock market? I don't think a crash is coming in the stock market. Leslie B, do you talk about taxes? Yeah, I do. Just not now. I'll talk about taxes. What do you think about Bitcoin nodes for passive income? I think that's a good way to get passive income. But the thing about it takes a lot of electricity, and competition is getting worse for Bitcoin. So you can do it. I had a neighbor who was mining Ethereum on solar power. So that'd be a smart way. He was actually making crazy profits until they changed from proof of work to proof of stake. It says someone is impersonating you on Instagram. I can't stop that. It's too many people that do it. So just look for the one that's verified. What do you think? When do you think the recession will hit? I think we're already in a recession. We are technically, but Biden them changed the definition. But yeah, I think we're going to be in a mild recession over the next year and a half. Do you think decentralized social media will be a thing? I think it could be in the future. I think everything will be eventually decentralized in Web3. Like I said, join the CNC before it's too late. That price is going up next week. Remember I told y'all a month ago it was $47, and I said if you don't buy it, it's going to be $67. And y'all sat on your hands, and now it was $67. Now it's going to be $97 next week. If you don't get into the CNC today, you click the link in my bio, or you can click the link if you're on Instagram. If you're on YouTube, go to my Instagram and click the link. I'll put the link in there. Hold on. I'll put the link in the YouTube so you guys can get it, because I don't think I put it in there. Also, you could text the word CNC to 888-709-2614, or you could text the word CNC to 89603. If Mark can put it in the Instagram, please, because I can't do it. And you can go to jointhecnc.com, all one word also. That's a monthly price, somebody says. So the book is here. The book is in The Strategic Millionaire. It's in where it's kind of blurry, but it's on Amazon. Yeah, so text CNC. It's right at the pinned comment 89603. Any more questions? When will they get rid of cash worldwide? I think cash is going to be a thing of the past in the next 10 years. And it's because countries, I don't know if you guys saw that article, but the IRS just got a bunch of money to have armed agents. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Is that I don't think people realize what the IRS is. The IRS is a by force organization that takes your money by violence. And I may get in trouble for saying this. I don't care. They take your money by violence. The government's ultimate power is violence. And people say, what are you talking about? A nice agent comes up to me and talks to me. Yeah, but if you don't listen to her, something else going to happen. You don't listen to something. And the IRS has armed agents that will kick in your door and make you pay the taxes. And most people don't realize that. They have them now. They have them now. And they're going to put all this money into some more agents that come and take the money. And people don't realize that. That's what the IRS ultimate power is based in violence. They will come in there and put a shotgun in your face for not paying the taxes. That's why I don't mess with the IRS. That's why I don't mess with them. But I don't believe that they should be taking people's money. But I also don't mess with them, man, because you can't. They got too much power. Somebody says, the Dave Ramsey Show a good source of information? It depends on what kind of person you are. If you just want to save your way to wealth, yeah. I don't believe in saving your way to wealth. I believe in negotiating your salary at work very aggressively. I believe in investing, and I believe in taking risk. And you'll make far more money doing those things than you can ever make saving money. And you pay off your debt and you watch interest. But if you use, I believe, Dave Ramsey believes in defense. That means protecting the money you got. I believe in offense, going out and getting more. You can only save so much. You can make, what you can make is infinite. Somebody says, you pay taxes on your crypto investments? I haven't sold a lot. I appreciate you, Karina. Thanks for pre-ordering the book. Somebody says, I was out in the country when you announced the price change. I don't know, man. DM me. But I don't know. Put the dang book on Audible. Yeah, I got to put it on Audible. But I haven't recorded the session yet. That's my fault. I've been busy and out of it. I got a studio that's like I paid for to go and record it. I got to go record that session, man. So I'll do it this week and next week. So, all right. So like I said, I hope you guys have it. Floyd Jackson said, I just negotiated a raise at my job. Yeah. I want to talk about that a little bit. Yeah. Negotiating your salary, especially if you have a professional or like a desk job, is one of the biggest ways you can make, especially at the beginning. I'm going to talk about this because it's very important. When you first get a job, that's when you got the biggest negotiating leverage that you ever going to have, is when you first walk into that job, because you will never have that leverage again. I don't care how good you do. I don't care how good you work out. You will never have the leverage that you have. And there's two reasons for that. One is because potential is always a lot better than what you actually do. Potential is almost always, very few people surpass their potential. If your potential is surpassed, that means somebody didn't judge it correctly in the first place. So you can never pass your potential. You can go under it, but you can't pass it, because the potential is, if somebody judge your potential right, you only can meet your potential. So the only thing you could do is meet it or fall below it. So at first they judge your potential at work, right? So that means that you have leverage because they think that you're going to do all this stuff. Even if you do it, it don't matter. And secondly, is because they've already spent so many resources to get you into that job. They probably, first of all, nowadays, they probably interviewed 5, 6 people. They probably already lost all this time in interviews. They probably already did a background check on you. They're already excited because they're going to fill a role. And they need you more than you need them at that point. That's the only time in your entire career at that company where they need you more than you need them, after they've already offered you that job. And then you say, well, I'm going to ask for money. They reject you for money. Well, ask for more vacation time. They reject you for that. Ask for paid. Say, I want free life insurance. If you continue to ask over and over and over again, first of all, they're not going to fire you. They're going to keep going unless you ask for something ridiculous. They're not going to say, we retract the offer letter. They rarely do that. If you keep asking, you'll get something. Maybe more vacation days, maybe more money, maybe a promise that if you do well, you're going to get a 20% raise next year. Whatever it is, just keep asking and you'll get it. You will never have that leverage again for the rest of your career at that company. Never. You can get a 10, 15% bump the first day, and you may get a 5% or 3% inflation raise from then on out. So that's what, even if you perform well, even if you hit all your objectives, you still will only get about 5%. You're not going to get a 15% raise or a 10% raise. So with that being said, I just want you guys to know that. Hope you guys have a great night. And that's a good point. I'm sorry, I got to go. Kevin says on YouTube, you have to negotiate at the beginning because all salary raises will be based on your initial salary. That's another one. The rate, whatever you negotiate at the beginning is compounded. But let's say, for example, and I did a chart one time on this, but I don't remember what it said. If I get $100,000 starting out of my job, I get 3% of that a year for inflation raise, even if I just meet the baseline of requirements. Now, if I ask for 120, the next year I'm getting 3% on 120. You only getting 3% of 500. Over time, the gap between me and you gets wider and wider because that 3% is compounded every year. And if you started at 100, your 3% compounded. Now I'm making 180 and you making 140 in 10 years because of that one thing I did, negotiated from the beginning. That's the biggest thing by far you can do. And women, a lot of times, that don't negotiate. That's one reason why there's a gender pay gap. It's not all of it, but that's one, is that women are less likely to negotiate, and people of color are less likely to negotiate than everybody else. So that's a big, big factor in making a lot more money. It could be a difference in a house, better car, a lot of stuff. So because that 3% is compounded over the years. So like I said, I hope you guys have a great night. Thanks for joining.